Hi everyone. Hope you are doing amazing. I hope you're getting excited. This is our month of Los Cabos. So many people either have been there or want to go to Mexico. And I just want to kind of go over a little bit of information just to kind of like know before you go, things of that manner, depending on where you are coming from. For more East Coast people, a lot of people from Mexico are used to going to Cancun, Riviera Maya, parts of the east part of Mexico. West Coast is definitely a lot different. If you're more on the west coast of the US, Los Cabos, Puerto Vallarta, they're more of like your normal because you're a lot closer to them. Typically for East Coast, the west coast of Mexico is definitely a lot different than the East Coast. Most of the time, if you're coming from the East Coast, they mostly have connecting flights. Once in a while, depending on where you're leaving from. So like if you were leaving from like Florida, leaving from Texas, or even if you're leaving from like California, they do have nonstop flights. It just depends. Sometimes you can find them on like either a weekend to a weekend or those one-off situations, but a lot of the flights are going to be connecting more from the East Coast. Los Cabos is a really amazing destination. Definitely does not fit in the box of what you're used to if you ever gone to Cancun, Riviera Maya, even if you've probably been to other parts of the Caribbean or the island, you definitely get a completely different vibe. So I kind of consider West Coast Mexico almost like the traditional Mexico. So you're going to get a lot more of the Mexico influences in terms of the hotel, where you're located when you go off of the resort. You will see some touristy stuff, but you're also going to see a lot more local stuff and things of that manner, which definitely spices it up and changes it up a great deal. Depending on where you stay, which I always tell people, even with a lot of our clients and a lot of our retreats that people are planning or conferences, I always tell them, if you're going because you want that beach destination, when I say that, I mean not like, okay, I can look at it, it's cute, I can be on the sand, but I'm more of like a pool person, or I'm just like, I like more for like the pictures, but I'm not really like a water person. Cabo is amazing for that and things of that manner. If you're a really big beach person, which means you're like, I want to be in the water, I want to be swimming in the ocean, things of that manner, I always kind of tell people that Cabo is a little bit different with that. Probably about 85 to 90% of their beaches on the resort are not swimmable beaches. And what that means is the tides in Cabo are very strong. There are certain parts, which is a large majority of where the coastline is, the tides are strong. So some of the resorts that you have there, they will have either like a rope or they'll have a flag because it's not safe to go into the water. And even at nighttime, you'll hear the crashing of the waves to the sand. Oh my goodness. You can definitely know when you're there why they don't trust it, because the tides are too strong. And a lot of that is mostly year round. And the reason why I say 85 to 90% of Cabo is not swimmable, because then you have the other hand. So there are parts of the coastline where you can swim, which allows there to be a handful of resorts or hotels that are on that part as well that's swimmable. And I say that because sometimes if it ever gets too rough, you will know, but for the most part, they are swimmable. And a lot of them are either swimmable because of where they're located, or they're on more man-made beaches, which means the hotel or whatnot made kind of like a little cove or something where people can swim. So they're not like the ones that, you know, originated from how everything was formed itself from their area. So that is something just to think about. There are resorts, and like that's why I said like 85 to 90% are not swimmable. They do have some that are, but it just depends on what you're going, because sometimes they either may be an adults only resort, or they may be in like either a higher price area because of that convenience and things of that manner. But I also tell people, if beaches are like, hey, I can see the beach, I can maybe take a picture of it, but I don't gotta be swimming in it, then you're good. So it's not that big deal at all. But it's just something I always like to tell people so that people aren't surprised when they get there and they're like, oh, we're about to go on the beach. And then you're like, what is this? So that is one thing just to keep in mind. Location. So Cabo, depending on where you're staying, Cabo has so many different places and resorts and all inclusives, and they all have, and they're all aimed for a particular type of clientele, which I will go into in my next video, which you will see some of my recommended hotels, and then I'll kind of go over through like what they offer, things of that manner. But it just depends on what your purpose of going there, who you're going with, because each hotel hotel offers a different type of clientele per se. What I wanted to say was with the hotels itself, majority of them are probably not, at least the resorts are all inclusive. They're not going to be like in downtown. They'll probably be where, you're like a short taxi drive away from downtown if you do want to go into it, or even if you do tours, most of the tours will pick you up from the hotel, so you don't have to worry about that. It's more so if you want to go into the city, maybe see some of the nightlife, things of that manner, which I will go into shortly. Now, there are a few resorts that are actually in like the downtown area. So like I'll give you one, for instance. There's a Breathless Los Cabos. Location, honestly phenomenal. The resort itself is also a very good brand itself. If you ever known like the secrets and the dreams, they're part of their brand. So quality wise, it's on point. Location wise, when I say it's great, I mean you're walking distance to their marina. So their marina is where all the shopping is. If you want to go to a local cafe, if you want to go to a restaurant, and it's also within probably maybe about a 5-10 minute walk, depending on where you're trying to go, to their downtown, which their downtown has a lot of like their nightlife, clubs, lounges, music, all that stuff is right in that area. I say this by saying area wise itself, it's very touristy. You'll get a lot more tourists there, but it doesn't really give off like tourist vibes, meaning they commercialize the area to make it feel like, okay, well, I just pretty much back home, just in a different country. It doesn't mean that. It definitely is, like I said, amazing when we were there. Phenomenal location and phenomenal experience while you're there. The only thing I will say is not too much more so like the safety factor. I always tell people, I say the same thing, literally every last one of my clients, even when we were doing our in-destination concierge for our consultants and coaches, I say the same thing. You may be in a different country or a different city, or even part work or part vacation, however you're putting it together, you use your same level of street smarts that you would even if you were home. You can walk around. Like I said, we walked around during the day, we walked around during the night. Everything's pretty much lit up. Again, you're not going into any random alleys because you don't do that at home. Why would you do that in another country? It's also where even when you're walking around, you're going to get people who are going to try to sell you stuff. That's the life of their particular type of quote unquote hustle there, whether they're trying to sell you t-shirts or they're trying to sell you jewelry or they're trying to sell you anything that they think people may be wanting to get. You don't have to entertain it. They don't get violent as long as you're, obviously I guess not rude to them itself, but no thank you, keep it moving, X, Y, and Z, and you'll be fine. But they are there. In Cabo, especially in that marina area, and this was like during the day. It wasn't like, oh, okay, well, if you're out here like past 5 o'clock, no, they were there all day long. It's more so just to be mindful in terms of like they're there. And I felt like, considering different places I've been to for work and as well as for travel, I felt like it was a lot more there. At least it felt like almost like every other foot or something there was somebody. I didn't really let it faze me. I was just like, no thank you, I'm good, keep it walking. No thank you, I'm good, walking. It was pretty much fine. Most of them were either teenagers or kids or things of that manner. It's just something just to be mindful even when you're going. And the same thing I tell people even when you're traveling, especially if you're a female and we have our pocketbooks. The best thing you can do for yourself is either bring something that's small that can like do a crossbody so that you can actually position it to be in front of you, and you can be so that you don't have to worry about anyone trying to pickpocket you or anything of that manner. You can always do a smaller pocketbook to carry. I'm all about like ease is comfort and better. So even if you have a cute crossbody, it works. If you have a smaller pocketbook, you can definitely do it. The only thing I just say is you're still gonna have to be mindful of making sure like no one tries to run up and grab it, making sure that it has a zipper on it so someone can't just go in and pick something out. All those things, it's just things to kind of keep in mind. When it comes to guys traveling, it's always better, especially if you have jeans, to put stuff in the front pocket unless you are wearing like a longer shirt that's covering like where you mean like you can't even see your back pockets, things of that manner. That's always something just to be mindful of. It may also still be easier to put it in the front pocket because nowadays, which I can't even say it started now, but just it's increasingly where people are trying to like scan people's cards. And don't get me wrong, that's not just Mexico, that's honestly anywhere you go, that's including the US. Those are just helpful tips. Or they have certain wallets, even females can get them too. There's certain wallets that they have which they have like a certain protective over it, which means even if someone tries to scan it, they can't because there's actually like a protected guard in the wallet. Those are always something to invest in, and that's anywhere you go. So I know I'm bringing up now because we're talking about Los Cabos, but this is in general, like regardless of whether you're traveling in the city in the US, traveling outside the country, traveling to a different city. These are just just things that's always good. It makes your life easier. It's one of those things where you don't want it to interrupt your trip, but you already have prepared yourself so it doesn't have to. On that note, I know I got jumped into it because Los Cabos is definitely something that I feel like some people know about, some people don't. I'm going to introduce myself. For those who do not know me, my name is Taishita. I am the founder and CEO of Luxury Travels by Dreamy Designer Events. I've been in the industry for almost about a decade, and I have experience and expertise in 20 plus countries. I serve my clients where they go on elite luxury trips worldwide, and I also do organize and fully manage companies, coaches, and consultants planning their extraordinary events and retreats worldwide as well. And with that being said, I hope you're excited like I am. I will be diving in this month and going into some must-dos, must-sees in Los Cabos. I will also pop in some videos that you'll periodically see just to kind of give you some things that you just didn't know they had to offer. But definitely, if you want the true authentic vibe, Los Cabos is an amazing option. If you decide to go on East Coast, even if you want to experience it, but maybe you are more of a beach person, there are destinations you can do. So you can do like Puerto Vallarta, Riviera Nayarit. There's a few of them over there that you can definitely do, and you can also go on the beach as well. Oh, my last thing I do want to say is when you're traveling now, it depends on where in the world you're traveling from. However, if you're traveling from the US, you do not have to convert your money over. They actually love our money. You're actually going to get a lot more for your money when you keep it in versus converting it ahead of time. So there's something to keep in mind. I do recommend though, if you travel with smaller bills. If you don't want to travel with larger ones, just because 9 times out of 10, if you have a large bill, they'll probably will give you change in their money. So it just depends on how much shopping you want to do, or just to not have that. A lot of the resorts are all inclusive. Not all of them are. So obviously the difference from East Coast definitely has a lot more all-inclusive resorts, actually a lot more resorts in general. But in Los Cabos, they do have a good amount of all-inclusive resorts, but they also do have not all-inclusive too, for more if you want more of the luxury side, but you're like, I would prefer just to not have the food and drinks included or entertainment and just get it as you go along while you're there. They do offer those as well. Well, until next time, don't forget to like and subscribe so that all the amazing inspirational content that I will be dropping, you will be receiving. Have a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you guys soon.